News Talk 610 AM and 102.1 FM. KBNU.
KBNU News Time is 4:03. I'm Bill Walter with this news update brought to you by U&I Furniture. Before you hit the road this weekend, you might want to plan for extra time in the car. John Gleason with UDOT said when you have an event like an eclipse, it's a very rare experience. There are going to be a lot of people who want to take all that in. On top of that, Gleason said there will be 23 school districts and 2 universities on fall break. Officials are expecting potential for delays on I-15, I-70 in central and eastern Utah, US 191 and US 89. You may have seen the UDOT signs above the interstate last week warning drivers of eclipse traffic. Gleason said they are anticipating even more than 300,000 tourists in the state just for the eclipse. The Ring of Fire eclipse will look its best in central and southern Utah near Bryce Canyon National Park. According to park spokesperson Peter Densmore, 2012 was the last time the park was shadowed by the eclipse, and that was to the west. This Saturday morning, it will be above the famous mountain landscape. He said the 2012 eclipse brought in over 10,000 visitors. Densmore believes private vehicle parking could even reach capacity the night before on Friday. Regardless, he said, there are still other gorgeous spots to admire the sights. However, experts are warning of eye damage risks with the eclipse. We'll tell you about that in just a moment. KBNU News Time is 4:04. And good thing we don't have an eclipse this afternoon because may not be able to really enjoy it with the cloudy skies and the showers continuing into this evening. And then possibility of a few thunderstorms as well. Overnight low tonight in the mid-30s. A 40% chance of showers, mainly before noon on Thursday. Mostly cloudy near 50 tomorrow. But then we clear out for the weekend for what we can see of the eclipse on Saturday. Looks like we'll have mostly sunny to partly cloudy skies. It's been to 54. It's 44 degrees right now at KBNU. KBNU weather brought to you by Maple Creek Ranch. Exciting news. The asphalt is now complete on all roads. Come see the fall colors and see what mountain living is all about. 2.5-acre lots are available to build your dream home. Go to maplecreekranch.net.
Is it time to upgrade or transform your dining area? Stop in and browse U&I Furniture's big selection of dining sets. U&I just picked up a spectacular assortment from different brand name manufacturers. They have small tables for 2 up to a big table for all family gatherings. U&I has lots of options, some with benches and swivel stools. And make sure you check out the chairs U&I has. Accent chairs, recliners, upholstered chairs, and more. There really is always a better buy at U&I. U&I Furniture in downtown Logan.
KBNU News Time is 4:06. As the eclipse arrives this weekend, experts have issued a warning that the celestial spectacle could pose a danger to your eyes. To safely view the eclipse, most people will be wearing specially made glasses with lenses designed to protect their vision. In a total eclipse like the one in 2017, it was safe to briefly remove the glasses during the moments of totality. However, Saturday's annular eclipse presents a different scenario. The moon will not cover the edges of the sun, so it's never safe to look up without protection. Dr. Jeff Petty, clinical vice chair of Moran Eye Center, detailed the damage he has witnessed in individuals who stared at an eclipse without proper eye protection. He said this could result in a permanent blind spot. Petty emphasized that if you damage your eye, recovery may not be possible. And October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. The issue remains prevalent across the nation and in Idaho. Nearly 1 in 3 women experience domestic violence in their lifetimes. Last year, there were 10 domestic violence-related fatalities in Idaho. But Ty Simpson with the Idaho Coalition Against Sexual and Domestic Violence says it's more than just physical violence.
Removing somebody and isolating them from their friends and family. It is ridicule. It is jokes and pranks. It is violence against children and animals. It is financial abuse, preventing somebody access from money and funding and food and a car, preventing them from going to the doctor or to church or to their jobs.
Simpson explains domestic violence against pregnant people is also a problem. More than 320,000 pregnant people nationally are abused by their partners every year.
When a person is not able to wholly and fully make a decision about being pregnant for themselves, then we start to move into the realm of pregnancy coercion as part of domestic violence.
Simpson says the issue is also of heightened importance for Indigenous people and claims it's compounded by intergenerational trauma caused by white supremacy and settler colonialism. KVNU News Time is 4:08. For more details on these and other stories, visit CacheValleyDaily.com.
Breaking news and stimulating talk. News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102.1 FM.
This is Dr. Red, chiropractic physician with Red River Health and Wellness. Are you suffering with fatigue, brain fog, headaches, intestinal issues, weight gain, and you haven't been able to find any answers?
I was struggling with constantly being hot, struggling with not sleeping, being able to fall asleep, stay asleep, or even wake up the next morning. I had very high levels of inflammation and memory loss. Memory loss was the scariest part.
Red River Health and Wellness can help you.
The sleep improved, my memory's coming back. Every time I remember something, I still get really excited. I go walking every morning now, which I've never done before. I've always really wanted to be that type of person that wakes up early enough to enjoy the sunrise. I get to do that every morning now.
Our goal is to teach you and educate you so you know how to manage your condition a lot more effectively and you know what to do and what not to do for the rest of your life.
Schedule your appointment today at 855-55-RIVER. Red River Health and Wellness with offices in Logan, South Jordan, Springville, and St. George.
Call Red River today.
The Cache Valley Media Group is currently looking for a traffic coordinator and an administrative assistant. Duties include scheduling radio and digital ads, assisting with sales, answering phones, greeting the public, and data entry with a high level of accuracy. Must have knowledge of Excel and Word and have basic accounting experience. Previous media experience is a plus, but not required. Spanish is helpful. Starting pay is $16 per hour. Benefits and training provided. Send resume to jobs@cvradio.com. That's jobs@cvradio.com. An equal opportunity employer.
There's a place to share the joy of your team winning it all, and a place to share a laugh about skiing and taking a fall. There's a place to share photos of pets, or singing in the choir, or the time you ate a pepper and your mouth was on fire. But we could all be better at sharing how we're feeling inside. 76% of employees have struggled with at least one issue that affected their mental health. When you share, you're not alone. Ask about your company's emotional health benefits. Visit heart.org/sharing. Brought to you by the American Heart Association.
For the people.
We are waiting with bated breath for news from the Cache Republican Party meeting an executive committee tonight.
With Jason Williams.
And I'm really excited about this next segment. We have two guests here in studio. We're going to talk about something that we've talked about many times here on the show, but from a bit of a different angle.
Weekday afternoons from 4 till 6 on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102 FM.
Welcome to KVN News for the People. It is Wednesday, October 11th. A little wet and rainy out there. Not as cold as I it doesn't feel as cold as I expected it to feel going from...
It looks cold, 44 right now.
That's honestly...
the temperature gauge looks cold.
Yeah, it's...
it doesn't look cold outside.
I thought going from the mid-70s to these temperatures, kind of literally overnight would be a bit more of a shock. But it's not too bad. I'm dealing.
Couple of feet of snow expected in the Wind River Mountains in Wyoming They're saying 20 to 30 inches from this general storm system that's moving into the western U.S. I guess for the mountains east of us, they said Tony Grove could get 6 to 8 inches.
Really?
Wow.
This. 6 to 8.
Uinta's maybe a foot or more. So,
see, I'm not ready for that kind of thing, but it's tis the season, right? We should be not surprised at all by this, or prepared for it, I guess. Paint fumes are killing me again. You're going to hear a lot of sipping of water during the show today. Just coming off of my fall hay fever type attack that happens every fall.
There's, in fact, the paint fumes are so strong today that we might just become downright giddy by 6 o'clock. Just be laughing hysterically.
It could be pretty interesting by the time we ingest all of these paint fumes and see what happens. But it's been quite a day in Utah politics. There is an interim session underway, and education committee meeting today with quite a bit to discuss. The primary discussion, of course, is so to bring everybody up to speed. In case you haven't been following this obsessively like I have, if you have a life, in the legislative session in earlier this year, a teacher pay raise was proposed, and a very popular proposal, and long overdue. Utah had been dealing with a bit of a teacher shortage crisis for a few years. And, one of the knowns in that was that, our pay, we were losing teachers to both other industries, but more so to other states. In fact, in I'm trying to find the year here. In 2018, Utah lost more teachers to western states around us than they did to retirements, and also people leaving the profession for another industry, another job. So that understandably was very concerning for the state leaders and for education leaders. And as a solution, they proposed a significant pay raise for teachers, $6,000, which, if I'm remembering correctly, that broke down to be about $4,000 in actual pay. And the remainder of that $6,000 increase was through benefits. And that was... again, it was very popular. It was proposed in the fall of 2022. And then we saw a bill in early in the session, 2023, like the first week. That wasn't what everybody expected, to say the least. It was a bill that tied teacher pay raises, again, a popular proposal, with what had been statewide, a very unpopular proposal statewide. It's very popular in some areas, Utah County primarily, and that was a school voucher program. This is, there's a long history of school vouchers here in Utah. It goes back to, I think 2007 was the first proposal, and there was some drama around that. They tried to, Governor Huntsman first tried to ram it through. That blew up in his face. He changed tactic. He became an anti-voucher governor. The legislature, though, so upset that voters, how dare they, through ballot initiative, had undone what they tried to do. Lawmakers tried to ram it through themselves. And that blew up in their face. and the whole thing was kind of put to rest. It came back up a little bit in 2014, and then went away. In 2017, a bit of a voucher program was created, sort of a trial balloon, I think. Lawmakers wanting to see if the public sentiment statewide on vouchers had changed, and they pushed through a voucher program for students with special needs, which actually, I mean, to be honest with you, as voucher programs go, that's probably the only one that actually has proven to be effective nationwide, because students with special needs oftentimes need to go elsewhere outside of public education, depending on their needs, to get a quality. They need to go to a specialized school that deals with, depending on what their needs are, that deals with those needs directly rather than generally. And so oftentimes private schools that specialize in children with, say, there's one in Salt Lake that specializes in children with Down syndrome. And so the voucher program for that actually is a great idea. And in Utah, it's proven to be, it's only been around for a couple of years, but it's proven to be pretty effective. General school vouchers have not. They've proven to be a moneymaker for private companies, but as far as performance for students and overall transparency and ethics, they've been kind of a mess for Florida and Texas. So Utah lawmakers, again, just, I would say a handful of Utah lawmakers. Because it's not, Cache Valley lawmakers did end up voting for the bill, but every one of them told me they were not supportive of the process. They didn't like the process around the bill, specifically hijacking. They should have been two separate issues. The reason Candace Pierucci and a state senator who I can't remember at this point, the reason they tied the voucher bill to the teacher raises is because they knew the teacher raises were popular. And so they were basically saying to the education community, to stakeholders, to the teachers union, I dare you to shoot down your own pay increase, which let's be completely honest, wasn't a favor to teachers. That's how they sort of talked about it, and that was unfortunate. This was something the state needed to do because we need to be able to attract and keep talented teachers in the system here in Utah if we want to keep businesses here in Utah, right? So a handful of lawmakers basically said, well, if we're going to give you raises, as if, again, it was a favor to teachers and not a benefit for the whole state and the business community, well, then we want our vouchers. And Cache Valley lawmakers were not fans of doing it that way, though I couldn't get any of them to say specifically they should have been two separate bills. None of them disagreed with me when I said that they should have been two separate bills. There was even one nod I got one time. So that brings us up to now. So that voucher program is up and running. There's even been a little controversy about that already because no one really knows who's running this. And there was an organization that isn't running it, that was claiming to run it, that was actually collecting data and contact information of parents throughout the state, pretending to be this Utah Fits All scholarship program organization. They were actually just a private group fishing for information and data about students and parents. Other than that, it's just been really slow getting up and running. So that brings us to today's interim committee meeting of the Utah legislature, where we got the first full report on the voucher program that was enacted earlier this year. It's limited data because it's only been up and running really since about June. But the first full report on where we're at with that voucher program. And we'll break it down on the other side, but I'll give you a little spoiler. The demand that the lawmakers behind this voucher program claimed was out there, they appear to have been very wrong. Utahns aren't very interested in this. But we'll talk about what was presented to lawmakers today and how lawmakers reacted right after this.
USU Aggie football returns to the confines of Merlin Olsen Field for a Friday night game versus Fresno State. You'll be ready for cooler game time temperatures with a stop at Locker 42, a new Aggie logo jacket, hooded sweatshirt, or an Aggie Stadium blanket. Join Locker 42 to cheer the Aggies on to a quick start and a win over the 5-1 Bulldogs. Locker 42, always ready for game day.
Hi, this is Ashley with LSS Insurance. Looking for Medicare coverage that offers you more? Now is the annual enrollment period. Time to compare all your Medicare options to get the benefits you want. Call 752-9493 and we'll walk you through all your options. There is no cost to work with us. We will help you access the benefits that are important to you. Call LSS Insurance at 752-9493.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have arrived in Philadelphia. Local time is 3:05 p.m. and the temperature is 67 degrees. At this time, you are now free to use your cellular devices.
You know that feeling when you get to turn your phone on after the plane lands? You can have that feeling every time you drive. Make sure your cell phone is stowed away whenever you are behind the wheel.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
St. Joseph's Indian School is much more than a school for Native American children.
It's like a family. Classes are fun here. I am learning about my culture.
Since 1927, St. Joseph's Indian School has provided children the education, health care, and support they need to succeed. To help give our kids brighter futures, learn more at stjo.org today.
What if the second deadliest cancer in men and women could be prevented? Would you try to avoid the pain? And what if you could protect yourself without leaving your home? Colorectal cancer is highly preventable. Screening is important, safe, and most people have options. Ask your doctor which screening test is right for you. Learn more from the Colorectal Cancer Alliance at getscreened.org.
Vehicle accidents are stressful enough. You don't need someone showing up at the scene trying to pressure you into letting them tow away your vehicle. Call your roadside assistance provider or insurance company for towing company suggestions, or consult with police on the scene. And always have the price and terms in writing before you let them hook it up. If you suspect fraud, call us at 1-800-TEL-NICB or visit www.nicb.org. A public service message from the National Insurance Crime Bureau.
There are a ton of social networking websites, but one stands apart for a very special reason. This one saves lives. It's MatchingDonors.com. MatchingDonors.com links organ donors with people in need of kidney and other transplants. In the U.S., 19 people die each day waiting for an organ transplant, most of them for kidneys. If you've ever considered becoming a living organ donor, or if you have someone in need of an organ transplant, visit MatchingDonors.com. Home of the greatest gift of all, the gift of life. MatchingDonors.com.
There are those who dedicate themselves to a sense of honor, to a life of courage, and a commitment to something greater than themselves. They have always defended this nation and each other. They still do. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Welcome back to KVN News for the People. So again, lengthy setup there in the opening segment, but the background is kind of important because of, to understand the discussion that happened today. So again, a quick recap. A handful of lawmakers have never forgiven voters for challenging them on a school voucher program more than 10 years ago. And they've trial ballooned it several times over the last 10 years. And then finally earlier this year, they just kind of rammed it through. They hijacked a teacher salary increase bill with a school voucher program attached to it, or by attaching a school voucher program to it. And it happened. So the voucher program has been up and running since about June officially. It started the minute the money was put aside and available the minute the legislature wrapped in March. But it took a while because this was so rushed, because it was so rammed through. They had a lot of I's to dot and T's to cross still. So it wasn't actually up and running until June. That was officially when parents interested in taking taxpayer dollars from education funds appropriated by the state and through a voucher system, using that to help pay or offset the costs of a private school education for K through 12 kids. They said what we were promised, what was supposed to be a big, just unending excitement from parents in Utah that were supposedly clamoring for this voucher program statewide. That's what the Candace Pierucci, Rep. Pierucci, and others who hijacked the teacher salary increase bill to add the voucher program. That's what they told us. That there is so much demand for this school voucher program. Today, they got their first report, and the report showed the exact opposite. Now, to be fair, this has only been running since June, and within the next year, we might see this change. We might see that there is huge demand out there. I'm skeptical because one of the reasons that school vouchers are not popular statewide is the majority of the state is still rural. Private schools are very plentiful in Salt Lake and Provo and Utah County at large, Salt Lake County at large. And their number increased for a while along the Wasatch Front, but now it's dwindling along the Wasatch Front. Basically, what was presented to lawmakers today is why school vouchers were never popular statewide and only in the more populous areas of the state like Utah County and Salt Lake County. And that is the simple fact that there aren't a lot of private schools in rural areas. And so what they found and what was presented to them today in a report on the education voucher program, less than 900 parents statewide have inquired. Less than 175 actually signed up. That's not huge demand. That's a pet issue for a couple of lawmakers that we're all now stuck with. Thankfully, though, that means not a lot of education money being siphoned out by this voucher program, which is one of the biggest concerns of opponents. The committee hearing, you can hear it online. It was actually kind of funny to listen to because as the numbers were presented to the lawmakers, including the two sponsors of the voucher bill earlier this year, dead silence. Almost as if they didn't hear the numbers. And then some awkward humming and hawing and, yeah. It would be funny if it wasn't your money they were playing with. We'll be back with more of For the People right after these headlines with KVNU's Bill Walter.
Thank you, Jason. KVNU News Time is 4:31, and the news is brought to you by Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology. A 46-year-old Lewiston man has been arrested for downloading child pornography over the Internet for years, according to law enforcement. Kent Daniel Prestwich was booked Tuesday into the Cache County Jail after state agents served a warrant to his home. According to arrest documents, Prestwich allegedly told investigators he had been viewing child sexual abuse material for approximately 15 years. Investigators first began detecting a computer distributing child pornography files on 2 different peer-to-peer networks in July 2023. The computer's IP address was later tracked to Prestwich's home, where agents with the Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force executed a search warrant Tuesday afternoon. Prestwich admitted to using the desktop computer to download child sexual abuse material, according to a probable cause statement. Prestwich was arraigned during a virtual hearing this afternoon in Logan's 1st District Court. He was charged with 2 counts of aggravated sexual exploitation of a minor, a first-degree felony. A local rabbi says a Utah man was among those killed during last weekend's terrorist attacks in Israel. On Tuesday, the rabbi, Avremi Zippel, posted to social media that Latan Abir, a member of the Young Jewish Professionals Utah group, was killed while attending a rave. Zippel said that the 24-year-old Abir was attending the music festival in southern Israel with 2 others when the attack began. While Abir was killed, his 2 companions, who had previously visited Utah, were able to escape. Over 250 people were killed at the Tribe of Nova festival near Gaza. Originally from Israel, Abir had lived in Utah for nearly a year before traveling back home. While in the state, Abir was a DJ and musician, while also working as a handyman when needed. Senator Mitt Romney expressed his shock and sadness over Abir's death. He wrote in a statement that he offered his deepest condolences to his family and friends. He went on to say that he continues to pray for the safe return of hostages, for the Israeli soldiers and first responders in harm's way, and for the families of the victims of Hamas's brutality. Some of what Romney said. And a man was hospitalized in critical condition following a collision with a vehicle at a West Jordan intersection. Alea Mason, a spokesperson for West Jordan Police, said the crash occurred at the intersection of 9000 South and 2700 West last evening. Details regarding the crash itself were limited. Police mentioned that eastbound 9000 South had been restricted to traffic due to multiple lane closures. Police said the driver of the vehicle remained on the scene and cooperated with the investigation. KVNU News Time is 4:34.
My hearing started to go right around the same time my wife started naming off all the upgrades she wanted done on the house. I figured it was selective hearing. To be honest, I was actually pretty upset when it was suggested that I might need hearing aids, but ultimately I knew it was time for a change.
At Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology, we can help you regain the confidence that you're hearing life the way it was meant to be heard.
Bring back what you've been missing. Bring back Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology.
Visit CacheHearing.com for details.
Just days after the deadly attack by Hamas, President Biden talked about the safety of Americans in Israel with a group of Jewish leaders at the White House.
The president anticipating reporters' questions on American hostages being held by Hamas.
What are you doing to get these folks home? If I told you, I wouldn't be able to get them home.
President Biden addressing Jewish leaders at the White House, worried about their friends and family in Israel, and reporting that allies, including Arab nations, are trying to help find and return those missing Americans. Andy Field, ABC News, Washington.
The U.S. is sending military aid to Israel, especially to replenish the Iron Dome missile defense system. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin.
Like any other country, Israel has the right to defend itself. As the president says, Israel has a duty to defend itself.
With continuing coverage, Israel at war. Daria Albinger, ABC News.
KVNU weather for tonight. Good chance of some showers this evening and also possibly a thunderstorm tonight. Overnight low in the mid-30s. 40% chance of showers mainly Thursday before noon. Other than that, cloudy, still cool, high temperature in the low 50s, around 50 degrees, but then mostly sunny, warmer, upper 50s on Friday. It's been to 54. It's 44 degrees right now at KVNU. Let's get the latest on Wall Street from Edward Jones.
This is Tron Arnold of Edward Jones, brings the daily financial market report for October 11th. Long-term bond yields declined for the third day in a row, helping stocks add to this week's gains. Prices paid by producers rose more than expected in September, driven by higher energy prices. But the Fed's message appears to be shifting, with policymakers judging that this policy is in restrictive territory and that there is a risk of over-tightening. Additionally, the jump in yields over the past month has tightened financial conditions, which may reduce the need for more rate hikes. On the corporate front, ExxonMobil agreed to buy Pioneer Natural Resources for nearly $60 billion in an all-stock merger. This is the biggest transaction of the year after 2 years of muted activity, providing some optimism in mergers and acquisitions landscape. International markets were also higher, led by Asia, on news that Beijing is considering raising the budget deficit and issuing new bonds to stimulate the economy. Also, China car sales improved, indicating a possible economic re-acceleration after a weak stretch. The stock market was up today, with the Dow closing 66 points higher at 33,805. The NASDAQ was up 97 points, closing at 13,660, and the S&P was up 19 points, closing at 43.77. In stocks of local interest, Thermo Fisher was down $3.52 at 492.63. Home Depot is down $1.17 at 298.05. Autoliv was up 46 cents at 97.23. Lowe's was up 54 cents at 203.29. Walmart was up 63 cents at 158.23. Nucor was down $1.04 at 154.86. Coca-Cola was down 32 cents at 53.71. Kroger was down 65 cents at 44.19. And General Electric was up $1.78, closing at $113.26 a share. In commodity markets, the spot price of gold was down $1.97, closing at $84 a barrel, and the spot price of gold was up $12 at $1,887.30. This is Tron Arnold of Edward Jones, member SIPC, serving individual investors with personalized attention and long-term financial advice at 1202 South Highway 89 in Logan. If you want more information, feel free to contact me at 435-752-3400.
Are you caring for an aging loved one and feeling overwhelmed? I invite you to consider how the supportive community at Legacy House of Logan can help. Their caretakers are so good at helping your loved one with the little things, like dressing, bathing, and managing medications. But Legacy House of Logan is more than just practical support. It's a social community where your loved one can make new friends. Come meet some of the people and tour the facility on 1400 North in Logan and online at legacylogan.com.
Get prepared for the hunting season at the newly remodeled Mount Logan Laundry. Bring your hunting gear, sleeping bags, and coats into Mount Logan Laundry and use one of their 10 new 55 or 80-pound washers and 16 50-pound dryers. Dirty sleeping bags or quilts are no match for these new machines. Plus, also, they have free Wi-Fi and drop-off service. Mount Logan Laundry really is the cleanest spot in town. Find them at 5th East and 9th North in Logan or in Brigham City on the corner of 1st East and 7th South.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, wherever the mission takes us, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Hi, I'm Dr. Shelley Flace with today's tip for kids from the American Academy of Pediatrics. Parents make all kinds of choices about their child's health. One important way you can protect your child's health is with vaccines. Viruses and bacteria are unpredictable, and even healthy children can develop severe complications.
I'm all done.
By vaccinating, you can feel good that you're doing everything you can to protect your child from harmful diseases. If you have questions about your child's vaccines, talk with your pediatrician and visit healthychildren.org.
Welcome back to KVN News for the People. I just want to throw this out there for our friends at Toys for Tots. Tried to organize some time with them today on short notice, and it just wasn't possible schedule-wise. But we'll see if we can speak to Melanie and Michael, who are running Toys for Tots again this year out of the Cache Valley Mall, which, as you know, is going away. And get them on, but they still need a location. they're getting desperate. Right now they're operating out of a space that's been donated to them in the Cache Valley Mall, but in the works is a proposal to take that mall down and build a lot of new stuff. I'm a big supporter of that proposal, so I'm not criticizing it, but it does leave Toys for Tots kind of in a pinch. And they're in their season right now. I mean, this is when Toys for Tots begins the collection process, and they would love to get into a permanent location. Of course, their budget is limited, and they do have some specific needs because of deliveries. So Toys for Tots will get donations from other nonprofits, but also corporations at times. Walmart, I know, one year donated a bunch of stuff from the previous Christmas season. And so what that means is they'll have 18-wheelers coming in with some of these loads from to drop off and then be distributed here in Cache Valley through the Marine Corps Toys for Tots program. And so that's made it difficult for them to find a place. They need about 1,500 square feet to operate, and they need to have access to big truck delivery, not just the smaller UPS sized delivery trucks. So that's made a bit of a challenge for them, and we had them on the show a few months ago when actually it was in July as the news of the proposal to tear down the Cache Valley Mall first broke. We spoke to them the next week because they knew. I mean, they knew this was coming, so they've been for a couple of years looking for space. But this just kind of ratcheted things up to 11 as far as the ticking clock for them. That clock is moving a lot faster now. So I don't know, but listeners have asked. In fact, a listener chiming in here via the chat wanting to know if they said, I thought they weren't going to be tearing them all down until the spring or early part of the year. Can't they operate there through this season at least? I would assume so. I don't know. I didn't talk to Melanie or Michael about that. I just was texting with them to see if they could come on today when I first got word that they had yet to find a location. So anyone out there or anyone you might know that might have, even if it's just for this season and next, if you have a space that you can think of, that you can recommend, that you yourself can offer up, spread the word. The Marine Corps Toys for Tots program is one of a kind, to say the least. And again, because of the way the program works, they can't operate just out of a little Main Street office space that someone might donate to them or offer up at a cheap lease fee. So it has actually made things very difficult for them. So if you have any recommendations, any suggestions, if you have some space yourself, reach out to them. You can contact Melanie, the coordinator, the lead coordinator of the Marine Corps Toys for Tots program. And you can contact them. There's contact information at logan-ut.toysfortots.org. But you can also email Melanie at dragon_bear2, the number 2, dragon_bear2 at yahoo.com. And then assistant coordinator Michael Soholt, you can email him at Soholt, that's spelled Soholt, Soholt1985 at gmail.com. And, of course, their website, again, logan-ut.toysfortots.org. So they're getting pretty desperate, folks. I've talked with them, and it's really down to the wire. And again, they don't know how long they're going to be able to operate out. Worst case scenario the timeline on this mall redevelopment plays out in such a way that they begin collecting and preparing for their toy distribution ahead of the Christmas holiday, only to find out first part of December that they can't actually be there through December to do their distribution, at which point they have to shut the whole program down until next year. So please, if you know anyone who might be interested in helping them out, even on just a temporary basis, as Melanie and Michael told us in the studio that day, they'd of course prefer to find something permanent so they don't have to go through this all again. But for the time being, just something that would get them through this season would be enough. And again, requirements that they have, no flexibility on. They need about 1,500 square feet of operating space. And there does need to be access, at least street side access, for large freight deliveries of the donations they get from corporations and other nonprofits. So one more time, contact information can be found at logan-ut.toysfortots.org, or you can contact Melanie at dragon_bear2, the number 2, at yahoo.com. Contact Assistant Coordinator Michael at Soholt, SOHOLT, Soholt1985 at gmail.com. And any tips you might have, I'm sure they'd be absolutely grateful to get them. So help them out if you can. Going to link to this also on our Facebook page if you're driving now and couldn't write down their contact information and more. I'll make sure it's on our Facebook page as well, their website and their contact information as well. So, again, Toys for Tots, getting desperate, looking for preferably a permanent space, but somewhere that's a little more reliable even for this season on a temporary basis would be welcome. They don't know what's going to happen for sure to their space at the Cache Valley Mall where they're operating now, and this is when they actually start their work for the season. So, one more time, logan-ut.toysfortots.org, and we'll be back right after this.
Do you see yourself traveling, working part-time, or moving somewhere warmer when you retire? Your Edward Jones financial advisor wants to help make your retirement goals a reality. They can help you figure out where you are today and how to get where you expect to be. Working together, you can plan for what you want and be ready to take on anything unexpected along the way. Call one of the 7 Edward Jones branch locations in Cache Valley or go to edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
The annual Cache Business Women's Conference is Wednesday, November 1st at the Riverwoods Conference Center. This year's theme is Building Together and will include learning, networking, fantastic food, and vendors. Keynote speakers are Becky Potts, Vice President of Federal Reserve Bank of San Francisco, Diana Sabo, new Director of Athletics at USU, and Rachel Cottom, Head of Content at Lexion. Tailored for women professionals and entrepreneurs, the Cache Business Women's Conference is Wednesday, November 1st. Register now at cashchamber.com. That's cashchamber.com.
When it comes to home care, it's important to know you have a choice. If you or a loved one is in need of hospice or home health services, remember that Primrose Home Care and Hospice believes in treating the patient as well as the problem. We work directly with you and your doctor to create a health plan that's catered to your needs. Our team is devoted to providing options in the freedom and safety of your own home. Visit us at primrosecare.com or call to schedule a free consultation. Primrose Home Care and Hospice, your local hospice and home health provider since 2006.
Good song. Welcome back to KVN News for the People. Things have been developing pretty quickly in the Middle East with the Saturday news of the just horrifying terrorist attacks in Israel from terrorist organization Hamas. Those not familiar, Hamas is technically the government of the Palestinian people, but it's more complicated than that. They were elected in 2006, not running as terrorists, obviously, and then they basically just canceled elections and took over. There hasn't been an election in Palestine since. They've trapped their own people in horrible conditions, and the relationship with Israel hasn't helped. Israel has come under attack for, some of the ways that they've punished the Palestinian people over the years for the acts of Hamas, the terrorist organization. And this whole thing goes back 75 years. This almost a religious war between the two. What happened on Saturday was horrifying, and some of the reports have been even more horrifying. Some of the reports of Israel's response, and the people along the Gaza Strip, especially, that are not responsible for those terrorist attacks in Israel on Saturday, that are now paying the price in Israel's response. It's just the whole situation is so tragic, and really makes you wonder if we've really progressed as a species as much as we like to tell ourselves, because a lot of this is just so barbaric. Congressman Blake Moore provided an update on this to constituents here in District 1. And Congressman Moore said, we can't at this point debate or advance support to aid Israel because of what's hopefully resolved at this point. We'll see, because one more vote the actual vote still has to happen, but there is no Speaker of the House. So since Republicans have the House majority by 8 seats, and last week, of course, Florida Congressman, and I would say probably the least popular member of the House amongst Republicans at this point. In fact, there are rumors that they're looking for ways to give him the boot as soon as an ethics investigation into him that began last year concludes. Gates triggered the ousting of Speaker of the House Kevin McCarthy, of course. And that led his calling for that vote led to 8 House Republicans joining all Democrats to vote against McCarthy, to give him the boot, to vacate the Speaker's seat. A vote like this hasn't happened for 113 years, and it's never been successful in the history of our country. So this was absolutely a first. McCarthy has since said he's probably going to be leaving Congress, but then he also kind of trial ballooned running for the Speaker's seat again. He didn't, and the Republicans officially voted on a nominee today. That was Representative Steve Scalise. So the official House vote still has to happen. I'm not sure if that will happen tonight or tomorrow morning. And then, even then, I'm not sure that the vote will be successful. But Congressman Moore said until they have a speaker, the House can't actually take action to vote for. He said the support is there. The Senate's ready. The White House and President Biden are on board. But because the House leadership is in current, disarray, Congressman Moore said we can't really do anything. And he, as he told us last week here on the show, he pulled no punches. He said, due to the actions of 8 House Republicans, Congress cannot act. He said, what would happen if we needed to declare war, if this was an attack on U.S. soil or a U.S. territory? So he said, this is a sad example of when a handful of people acting more in their own self-interest weaken Congress, our nation, and our allies. And Moore again pointed to the sneak attack by Hamas on Israel from Palestine on the Gaza Strip, or from somewhere on the Gaza Strip on Saturday. And Moore said that, he said from the intelligence, so he was asked during this conversation, this was a conference call basically, and he was asked during this conversation by constituents here in District 1, what he was hearing from intelligence reports. Now, obviously, a lot of what members of Congress, especially members of the Gang of 8, the intelligence group within the House, which Congressman Moore is not a part of, is not, it's classified. But Congressman Moore said things he could talk about. He said what they've been told is that this attack, it was sophisticated. It was somewhat sophisticated. And so he said it probably took months to plan and prepare for, which has everyone asking, how was Israel blindsided by this? And he said they're also receiving reports that Israelis themselves are blaming Netanyahu for this, that this could be the end of his recently clawed back power in the government of the country, because most people are saying that his distraction with reforming the courts, the judicial system, for partisan reasons. Basically, he's mad at them for an ethics investigation that concluded massive amounts of corruption in his last administration. He's exacting revenge for that, and the intelligence presented, Moore said, that Israelis believe that Netanyahu was distracted by that obsession, that's he's still mad about this investigation, and therefore his government missed the intelligence because, as Moore said, the U.S. intelligence believes this was a sophisticated enough attack that it probably took months to prepare for. So it should have been, they should have noticed that something was afoot, at least, Moore said. So Moore said Israeli citizens were murdered in the streets, and that Israel is fully justified in using whatever forceful means is necessary to stop future violence and ensure this doesn't happen again. U.S. officials are also aware that Iran has, and we've known this for a while, that Iran has been funding Hamas for years, basically just to create problems in the area, and that they even provided some training for Hamas leadership in the past. Whether they were directly involved in this attack or not, Moore says that intelligence at least hasn't been given to him, but they know that Iran has been involved before. So basically, that's what is being presented to members of Congress right now, as far as what is now a war between, well, I don't know if we call it a war because there isn't really a back and forth happening, but a terrorist attack with more than 1,000 Israeli and foreign citizens killed on Saturday. Just horrible. And now again, people of Palestine who weren't responsible for that attack, losing their lives as Israel responds, which, I mean, they have to respond, right? Just all around, just an unbelievable situation. So tragic. We'll be back. Hour 2 of today's